Hello, welcome back to From Soft Serve. It's been a little while. I've been working a lot on Dark Souls 2. I have been working at Dark Souls 1 as well, but anyway, we're in Dark Souls 2, and I will show a comparison screenshot here of one change I've made as an optional thing for the Scholar of the First Sin, or Scholar of the Second Sin visual overhaul, and that is the addition of basically adding everything in the scene into the planar reflections that Dark Souls 2 uses for its reflections. It doesn't use, of course, it doesn't use screen space reflections. And Dark Souls 2 Lighting Engine also does not do screen space reflections, for Dark Souls 2 at least. They will be in Dark Souls 3. They were in Dark Souls 2 Lighting Engine for a bit, and then they were removed. But planar reflections are fantastic because they essentially just render the scene at a lower resolution in the reflection. So it's expensive, and that's why they tend not to use it anymore in like super modern games. Except for there was one first-person shooter a couple of years ago that actually used some of it. It was like weird steampunk slash BioShock Infinite looking Russia game. You'll know, someone in the chat will know. But anyway, yeah, so here's what Shrine of Amana looks like, because obviously it's the best case scenario for this, because it's just a giant body of water, right? And so having everything in the planar reflections, it's just absolutely game changing, because before you used to have it look just like just a bunch of blue, and now you can actually reflect the sky itself. Of course, we have volumetric light shafts that I've added, and well, all because of Dark Souls 2 Lighting Engine. But instead of just screen space light shafts like Lighting Engine can do, the gold star really is the volumetric light shafts, where you can see you're still getting the light shaft even though we don't have the screen space information anymore of like where the light is coming from. But you can see the volumetric light shafts work no matter what, because they're actually just being rendered by Dark Souls 2 Lighting Engine, and you don't need the screen space information. Now, of course, we also use light shafts on top of that, but let's go to some different areas. Well, first, I guess I'll show, here's how you could add everything to the, essentially what you're doing is you're adding everything into the reflect cam, as Dark Souls calls it, essentially. They've been using planar reflections. They stopped with Sekiro. But basically what we do is we have a project up here in Smithbox, which is a fork of DS Map Studio. And you can see all the maps on the left here. And so essentially what I was doing is Shrine of Amana is 2011. And there's an old program out there called ACB Editor, and it was gifted to us by mysterious people from other planets, God knows who. And basically, the ACB, you might be wondering, what the hell is the ACB? Well, the ACB file is the file that actually controls, like, what is shadow casting, what is not shadow casting. Does it have normal interaction when the player is in it? Is it reflectable? Obviously, you can see all these things: cheap render distance, low texture distance, draw distance, mesh lods. So these are all things that are not, at least the draw distance, mesh lods, low texture, cheap render, and then the like reflect cam related stuff. That's all stuff I still can't do in Dark Souls 2 Lighting Engine. I mean, you kind of can, in like if you add an object, like a new model, that you created elsewhere, you can import that into Dark Souls 2 Lighting Engine, and then you can tell it to be reflected. But like, at least I have not found where I can do an actual like entity override and then tell it to be reflected. So not exactly working as far as that. So that's why these are optional changes that I'll go into in just a second. But basically, you have to go into your Dark Souls 2 folder. I have my game unpacked, of course, and it's under model, map, and then it's inside the actual M, and then the map number, map BHD. Because you'll notice a lot of them in here. There's E, there's G. I believe E is for like cube maps. H and L is for collisions. The M1 is the actual map BHD. But anyway, we unpack that with Witchy B and D. And then we go into 2011. I always have to remember what number they are. So 2011. And then inside here, you'll notice there's an ACB file. And so this is the readout of Shrine of Amana. And basically each one of these is a map object. And that's what you'll notice here by 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're numbered, you know, all the way through 9,000. So basically, if you wanted to actually cross-reference that, you could load up Shrine of Amana, which we'll do right now. And so this is what Shrine of Amana actually looks like. And you see all the little like tendrils, and it's such a cool looking area. And we'll turn the blue off. That's actually the collisions that the character walks on. So this is actually what it looks like. You'll notice here's the water, but obviously no material settings to this render. It's just set to show the texture and basically the meshes with absolutely no shading at all. But anyway, yeah, if you wanted to, you could click on like, hey, what is this part of the land here? That says it's 116. Ah, I can go here and I can actually find 116, which is this. And you can see that I have turned it to be reflectable here. They even have render type, which render type 6, I figured out is for water. And so then you don't set that to be reflectable, but then it has normal interaction. Anyway, we do ignore the shadow source and target, as those basically shadow target is if there is a shadow cast by something, we are telling the game this object can accept those shadows. Like they can be overlaid on top of the object as you naturally would, but you could turn that off if you wanted to. And then disable shadow source, of course, is do you want, I think I just rhymed there, shadow source, of course, is if you wanted the sun or wherever the light source is in this map to hit the map piece, and then will it cast shadows behind it? That's what you're saying when you say shadow source. Now, by default, almost everything in Dark Souls 2 is not a shadow source. That's the same with Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne. By default, they have baked lighting, right? Where basically the lighting is just done offline, it's done as textures, and you apply it to the map, and therefore you don't need to do the shadow casting, you don't need to do all of that for general environmental lighting. And so, of course, through this mod, using Dark Souls 2 lighting engine, you can set things to be shadow casting inside of Dark Souls 2 lighting engine. So you don't have to do it this way, which is doing it through Dark Souls 2's engine, essentially. And then lighting engine picks up on that. But anyway, we got stuck in a hole there. That is just a bunch of cool ACB edits and whatnot. But you might be wondering, like, why is this optional? Well, so the problem is these types of edits can only be done, currently at least, with your game files unpacked. Well, not so technically for the end user, for you guys downloading the mod, you would not have to have your files unpacked. I do while developing it, and then when I give out the mod, which there is a link in the description to download the most recent version, what I'm showing off today, it has an optional file. So let me go to the actual... oh, I don't have Chrome open. Look at that. So let's go to Nexus Mods, and we'll go to My Mods. And inside here, that's where we're going to see the optional download, which here it is. Easy peasy lemon squeezy under Files. Optional Better Reflections is what I'm calling it, but it also has mesh lods, texture lods, cheap render distance. It has basically fixes for stuff that I can't yet easily do in Lighting Engine, so it is optional. And basically inside the package for this, because actually, what the hell, we'll just download it. We will unpack it, and inside of there, it includes, it's already pre-set up. All you have to do for this is literally just copy it into your Dark Souls 2 game folder. And so basically we extract the optional files here, And inside of it includes a mods folder, modengine.ini, and a dinput8.dll. Basically, the dinput8 just handles grabbing these files at runtime, and it's going to inject them into the game. But there's nothing you need to do. Literally, well, except for this one thing, where basically we copy it, and we're going to go to our Dark Souls 2 folder in our Steam folder, game, and then basically you just copy it directly into this folder where you see your Dark Souls 2.exe. Basically, you just copy it in there. And that's it. You still launch it with Dark Souls 2.exe or from Steam, whichever way you prefer. And yeah, basically it's going to load stuff out of this mods folder, which currently it's loading stuff from the map, model, and param files. Yeah, so that is offline because, of course, that will get you banned. Mod engine related stuff. Obviously, FromSoft is not a big fan of that. So I actually have it set. Now, if you want to do online anyway, you're free to try that, but it could get you banned. But here's the nice thing. In the actual settings for Mod Engine, if I can find it here, if we open up modengine.ini, this is what I have it set to by default, which is skip logos. And then the best thing is it blocks network access. So it's like a really low level hook that it's going to stop the game from even connecting to FromSoft's servers, right? So it just totally stops that. And so you don't need to worry about being banned. It will just automatically say, hey, we got to play the game offline because we couldn't connect to the servers. Our bad, big dog, you know. And so that's where that's at. If you would like the optional part of the mod, you can go download that. It's really easy. But let's go elsewhere, because I actually have made alterations to probably every area, and more textures, more shadow casting, more tessellation, more everything, essentially. I've just continued working on it, because there's things that I miss as I'm going through the areas. But I figured we could kind of go in order and be in Majula and then kind of take the canonical path through the game very quickly, just so you can get a sense for what each area looks like. Also, did want to say, when you're right, you're right. Yeah, my depth of field was a little goofy, and I still think some will not like the depth of field setting I have on the mod, as I know some people prefer no depth of field or very minimal. So let me show you just very quickly how the depth of field system works in Dark Souls 2 Lighting Engine, so you can modify it yourself, frankly. But if you open up the F1 menu, you'll see under Camera Lens, this is where, if we disable depth of field, I think it monstrously changes the scene. I personally definitely prefer some depth of field. I think it looks weird when we don't. Mine is a little strong, but you can see here, you can actually turn the depth of field off. And then you can keep it like I have it, but there's actually a middle ground. So if you want to keep the depth of field on, but you would like it to be less of a blur, you can actually just move the actual camera sensor size. And so if you find it to be a little too blurry, like at 30, you could move it down to 25, for instance. And now you can see a little bit more in the distance. So that's what you have control on your side. On my end, when I'm actually making the lighting preset, these are all the options I have for every single area. And so this is the portion where I can set the minimum focus distance, max focus distance, f-stop, and the max f-stop. And so I, per area, make those kind of changes. But on your end, you can turn it off or change the blur amount, and that should be good enough to dial it into kind of like what you prefer, right? Because when it comes to depth of field, it's definitely, I think, different for everybody. But for Majula, I have removed a lot of the baked lighting on a per map piece basis, because there were certain things that were being covered up, like this spot here. You can see a little bit more light, and then you have very, very subtle like the light coming off here. There's very subtle volumetric light shafts. I didn't want to go too over the top. And then we keep the red aesthetic to the sunset of Majula. And yeah, I'm honestly pretty happy with Majula currently. That could change later. I do want to go more into putting in custom geometry, like using Substance Painter and then the oh god, what is that resource for models? God, I can't remember what it's called. Mega scans. So I am curious in that if there are certain, like for instance, that very distant map piece there, which is actually just an image. So you can see sort of what is the real geometry and what is not, although a lot of this has been added by Rage Vitamins, the creator of Dark Souls 2 Lighting Engine. And the initial part of this atmosphere preset was based on his work a long time ago, and so that's why you'll see some of these distant, geometric map pieces where they were generally just images. But obviously that's something in the future where I think there's certain distant things that could be done better that tessellation will not fix, because there's certain things that are so far in the distance that the tessellation would be so far away, and then it's out of range for it. Like you can see how, the low poly count on these mountains here. Even if I were to enable tessellation from that far away, it tends to be just too far to where it's not really worth doing like tessellation on that far. Yeah, I think here. Yeah, there's no override on it currently. And here's the problem we have is that you'll notice this part of the map piece is stopped right here, and then they sandwich in this part and then this part. So if you do tessellation on each different part, it will likely create a seam. But if we try it, so let's turn on some tessellation, and then I usually do max distance just to get the full effect. But generally, it should create a seam that will not look great. And so there's certain things that would either need to be replaced completely. Now you can see we have fixed the low poly count on the top here, but have we created a seam that you can see through? Historically, yes. Now I may, ooh, yeah, so you can see right here is one of the seams, right? But it may not be noticeable. That's kind of the key thing, is if it's not noticeable from a distance, then honestly, who cares, generally. But I think we're going to be able to see it from up here. Let's see. Yeah, you can see it looks better in the distance now. There's definitely a higher poly count. It is applying the tessellation, but I think, yep, so that's the problem we run into, right? Is, let's see if we can do the top layer, but then leave these bottom layers out of it. We'll see, but I think it's probably not going to go well. Okay, well, interestingly, we might be able to keep it on that, actually. If we... Nah, yeah, see, that's the problem, is it kind of... Yeah, basically the seam just rolls downhill here, so it starts from this one, but if we do tessellation on this, it fixes that, but then we go down to the bottom here, and then it basically breaks down, unfortunately. Yeah, this fixes the seam, because basically they're both applying the same, but unfortunately when we do tessellation to this mesh or map piece, it doesn't fix it. It looks a little bit better when we... Wait. Yeah, so the problem is there's still a seam, unfortunately. If there was a way, I'd have to ask the Dark Souls 2 Lighting Engine creator. Because what would be nice is if I could select the three of them together and then treat them as one. If I could treat them as one big map piece, I think that could fix it. If it could just handle the tessellation all together in like a bundle, but I understand that's a whole thing. So we'll disable it, put it back to normal, And that way you don't get those ugly, ugly, ugly seams. Obviously, there'd be other ways of fixing it. I could put other geometry inside that seam to sort of fill that void, and then it wouldn't be as noticeable. But anywho, that is that. So now we've done Majula, and let's go to Forest of the Fallen Giants. I'm not going to do things betwixt because I don't think I'm not happy with that area yet. Still a little like, I'm a little miffed on things betwixt, or betwixt. But yeah, here we have Forest of the Fallen Giants, and of course you can see here the marquee feature is the volumetric light shafts. So getting those set up is not actually that hard, but basically you go into the actual lighting settings that I alter, and it's underneath the volumetric fog settings, and by default it's set to normal. Fog start distance works correctly, and I change it over to a sunlight injection with shadows, and then here you can start to actually tweak the volumetric fog itself and what you want the opacity to be. And so I try to basically dial it in to exactly where I want, and then you do the actual phase factor for the sunlight. Bunch of little things that go into it, but essentially I just want to make it look right for the scene and sort of match the light shafts that Dark Souls 2 would use on its own, but obviously like screen space, right? And so here it's a mixture of screen space light shafts plus the main backbone is being done by the volumetric light shafts, because you'll notice that you see them even when we are not looking up at the light source, like I mentioned earlier. So it's actually just being actually rendered and not just being done by screen space information, so it just looks better, frankly. But yeah, I'm really happy with Forest of the Fallen Giants. I think it has kind of a nice sunset style look. Now, there's still two different versions, essentially, of this area. Once you get to the Pursuer, like, arena, that turns into the different lighting for Forest of the Fallen Giants. So there's essentially two sides to this area. You will notice I have despawned most of the enemies in this area, because I've been modding on this save file for long enough now that most of the people have despawned. But yeah, pretty heavy on the sun and volumetric fog, but I actually think it hides some of the shitty looking distant detail a little bit. But I also realize that not everyone is going to like that. But I'm pretty okay with that. Let's go this way. I don't have the UI on, so sometimes I'll forget if I'm low health, and then I'll just get fucking stabbed by somebody. So Pate's still hanging out. I haven't done anything with him, really. Okay, they're whacking the tree. Love to see it. I need to double check the giant memories. Also here, yes, is still a very ugly transition. Don't worry about it. I know about it. I just, it's one of those transitions that is, in the unmodded game, also very abrupt. But the difference is that they don't have dynamic shadows on, so you don't notice the shadows moving. But it is still doing that transition. So that's just kind of the difficulty of working with FromSoft's like atmosphere swapping system. And then up here for Pursuer's lighting, I really sort of dove into the very red sunset looking aesthetic for it. And maybe it's a little over the top. Also, yes, you will notice a mesh hole right there, but don't worry about it. But so I really tried to dive into the overcast look. Now, actually, I think the Skybox here, I think the Pursuer one, I actually have not upscaled yet. And the reason why I haven't upscaled some of the Skyboxes, I'm doing it over time. The reason I've been a little slow on that is actually grabbing them is harder than it might sound. In Lighting Engine, basically when I was redoing this mod for the 5,000th time. I was going piece by piece, and as you can see here, I was basically selecting each thing individually, each surface. And you can see the textures here, right? Really, it says I haven't upscaled these textures? No shot. No shot. Oh, I guess there was one texture here I had not upscaled. That's insane. Okay, well, really quickly, let's see what that texture is. That is interesting. I would have thought I had touched everything here. But anyway, let's go to text override. And the cool thing with Dark Souls 2 Lighting Engine is, yeah, it'll tell you, you know, and I have it sorted by date, right? Modified. So here's the DDS file. I just made it into a PNG. And the nice thing is you can basically, oh, no, not that photo AI. You can do all of this like live in game. I think that's my favorite part about modding Dark Souls 2, using Dark Souls 2 Lighting Engine, is it's such a free form sort of modding process because you get to stay in the game. So let's do a nice little upscale on that. Ooh. Okay. Hey now, photo AI. Let me make my alterations. Okay. So basically, try to check out fine detail, see if the standard model did a good job. Which, yeah, it's pretty good. I usually try to turn down the denoising a little bit, as I want it to add some nice crunchy surface detail, but not go too crazy. But anyway, you'll see it from 1K by 2K up to 2K by 4K. And then it's going to save it and then automatically update the folder with the newest one. I use the xMadHack tools to convert it back into a DDS texture, BC7 with MIP maps. So now that texture is actually upscaled. Oh shit, yeah, that actually looks way better. Wolf. Okay. Oops. I would have figured. Oh yeah, a little parallax effect as well. Anyway, let me show you. So one thing you can notice, like left clicking on the actual skybox here does not select it. Presumably that's all about how the camera functions and how it's capturing the scene. But I found the easy way to grab the skybox textures to go into the scene entities list. And you can actually see it lists out all of the different things that it's drawing, and the green ones are already overridden. And so generally I just click on the override thing. Yes, so here you go. And there should be a couple. There's usually a top part and then a bottom part. And so I think, yeah, okay, so here's a top one. That one we've already done. Oh really? They say we've already upscaled it. Really? Are we sure? Are we absolutely sure? So if you ever want to double check, you basically pull up your text override folder and you'll see it's listing the albedo texture here. And so H underscore 604874, so H underscore 604874. You might be wondering, why is that the name of the texture? That is a fingerprint identifier. Oh yeah, it's 2K by 0.5K. Interesting. Well, that doesn't seem upscaled, judging by the general Dark Souls 2 skybox resolution. I'm assuming I hit the override button, but I never actually upscaled it. Yeah, I definitely didn't. Okay, well, no wonder it looks pretty bad. You can see here are the distant mountains down here. No wonder they don't look great. Now, obviously the starting resolution for this, I mean, it's 2K by 0.5K, right? So like, it's not terrible, but the main thing I do for skybox textures is I don't actually want to make them sharper. I don't tend to use the standard model because it tries to add surface detail, and for skybox textures I more or less want to denoise more than anything. So I go to the high fidelity, and then I turn off any sort of de-blurring, and then the denoising. And so by default, you can see it's taking it and then adding a little bit of detail, which I think is fine. but I need it to denoise. And so generally, if you move the denoise up to about 9 through 11, it hits a point when it kicks in a very nice denoising. Generally, let's try 10. Yep, okay, so 10 is when it kicks in. And so if we do zoom ins on the really noisy parts of the image, you'll notice that it just fixes the blocking quite a bit, like the macro blocking. And you can see it just makes a nice, softer image, which for Skyboxes actually works really well because I don't want it to be noisy at all. Realistically, with the depth of field, it's going to be blending into the background. I just don't want it to look really pixelated. So that's the goal for the denoising, is you can get a little bit of extra detail, but that's not my main goal. My main goal is to just soften, because you can see, like, look at all the compression artifacts that we have up here in the corner, and you can see the denoising just sort of very nicely takes care of that, but also doesn't completely just demolish the image. So that's the general goal with the Skybox textures. I need to do that for every area. I think I have at least half of them done currently. But then we save it as BC7, so now it's 4K by 1K. And yeah, now it just basically looks better. That's how I grab the Skybox textures. And it's not perfect yet. I definitely here want to do a little bit of work with making the skyline, or like the horizon, blend in better with the sunlight. So I will work on that for sure. Another focus in this update is on indirect lighting quality. And so basically, like, you can see how the sun is here and then it bouncing onto the actual map piece. And so you can sort of control that through the ambient diffuse level. But you also, something I've been doing more and more is, for instance, if you go into F3, hit snap to game camera, and this is what I love, is you can do all of this in the in-game. That's the best case scenario. So you can see here that there's all this sunlight coming in, but is it bouncing onto the scene here? Not really, because it's not. I do have SSGI enabled, but it is not handling the larger, like large scale global illumination, like bounce lighting that would come from this. So generally, you can easily hit the create light button here, and then you can actually move the light around. And so commonly what I'll do is angle it in a way that I'm happy with, and I try to match it, of course, with the light source a little bit, with it in mind. And then I change the color of the light to be a little bit, off of the orange sunlight, and then you change the actual range on the light itself, and then we can see the actual, I think the height for it is a little too high right now. So you can see, let's see if I move it a little bit closer to the guy here. Yes, so let's stop grabbing his head. That sounds bad out of context, but don't worry about it. We'll go to lights editor, because if you're on the object editor up here, you'll keep grabbing the people nearby, even though it will grab the light. It's a whole thing. So point light, and you'll see the point lights that are here are captured, and these are actually the pre-existing ones that were in the game, and Lighting Engine can actually override those if you want. And here are the things that are actually made for Lighting Engine specifically. They were made in Lighting Engine, and Dark Souls 2 has no idea that these are happening. And one of them is the point light that I just made. And I think, yeah, see, now you can see how the bounce light could basically, let's see if I go up a little bit. Yeah. So I have the range, go up a little bit. And so you can see as I move the intensity of the light up, you're now getting this bounce of light. And you hit save level, and now you can see, as I'm looking at this guy, he actually has bounce lighting as the light that is surrounding it, hitting the environment. Now, is it fully accurate? Absolutely not, because I'm doing it myself, and I'm likely to absolutely just fuck up I think that's my first curse word in the whole video, which is insane for me, if you know me well. YouTube, you're welcome. So I'll do a little bit of a smaller bounce of light. But yeah, I actually have a lot of fun doing like the bounce lighting because it's all just your own, where am I placing it? I do wish feature suggestion if Rage Vitamins is watching this. I mean, I could just DM you, but one thing that would be nice is instead of creating a new light, it would be really great if there was just a duplicate button for the light that I have here. And if I could just hit duplicate, and then it would just create another light. That would be great. Because the lighting, you end up having to make one and then set the color again. And there's a decent amount of times I would just like to just make a duplicate. And like in Map Studio, for instance, I could just make a duplicate, and then you could easily kind of copy it around the scene as you see fit. So you'll see here, my general strategy with the point lights is I like to maximize the range on them. So they're not actually limited at all by range other than the intensity. I tend to find that works really well for bounce lighting. So you can see in the scene here, the shadows are obviously covering this completely. And then if we just move up this bounce light, you can see it just gives a nice little boost in, essentially the brightness and the indirect lighting quality. Now, of course, there's other ways of doing this. This is the very manual way. If I wanted to do this another way, I've also said other way like 5 times in a row. Don't worry about it. You can see the sun shadow strength is one option you have here. It's not a good option though. And the reason why it's not a good option is that it does not impact the baked lighting. It's handling sun shadows, the actual cast sun shadows. But a lot of the shadows are still baked because I don't remove all shadows that were pasted on, because obviously baked lighting has a point and it is very efficient and nice and it's stable. So that setting does not tweak that, but the point lights will still work in that case. And so now you just see there's a little bit of nice bounce lighting. So essentially I need to do that throughout the entire game. and then I'll be happier. But that's going to be like an overtime thing. But you can see the volumetric light shafts here. I also realize I'm like 38 minutes into this video and I have not shown many of the areas at all. But that's because I got really nerdy with how things work and how you can edit them and basically what I'm doing a lot of the time. Ooh. I don't know what the fuck was going on in that cutscene, but I did not like. I didn't like what that looked like. Oh, I do see a little shadow cascade. I'm not fully happy with Lost Bastille either at the moment. Not really. I got volumetric light shafts set up, so I like those. But in terms of the actual like contrast and how the fog fills up the scene and how bright the area is, I'm not happy with it yet. I'm just not. Full disclosure, not happy with it. I think it's not blue enough. This has been a hard area to nail down. Also, you'll notice there's a giant mesh hole right through there, so the volumetric light shafts are going right through it. So not great. That's just a quick look at Lost Bastille. I'm not happy with it, so we're not going to spend too much time here. There are some much better looking areas that I'm very pleased with. Lost Bastille, that one's been a bit of a struggle. I just have not been able to nail that down. Ooh yeah, is it Heide's Tower of Flame or Heide's Tower of Flame? I don't know. I've also heard Heide. So you'll see we also have volumetric light shafts. God, I've been saying it too much this time. And then one of the big focuses in this mod is basically reestablishing, I guess could be the word, the skyboxes. By default, Dark Souls 2 lighting engine institutes a dynamic sky, which is cool, but it also does cover up the really cool skyboxes that were pre-existing in the game. And so that's a big part of my mod. That was actually the reason for starting this mod again, was essentially how do I do the original skyboxes but inside of Lighting Engine and have the best of both worlds. That was essentially the goal. And basically you just have to go through all the fog settings, all the scattering settings, distance settings. Most of it is done in the distance and skybox settings, where you can actually do a dynamic sky sample weight, and you can sort of tune how much you want the dynamic sky to be involved. But your main thing is like cloud color weight, color 2 sample weight. Those are like the big parts of how much does it take into account the existing skybox. So essentially the goal is like, okay, I want it to look like how the game looked like originally, but just better, which may sound stupid, but like that's kind of the mission statement, is like, okay, how do I utilize all of Dark Souls 2 Lighting Engine's capabilities, but still have it look, to me at least, and I will get this wrong a lot, how does it still look like the unmodded game? So here, I think, honestly, this looks fucking fantastic. I am incredibly biased, but I think this looks fantastic. I still have more tweaks to do. I think the skybox here might be a little bit dark. I've removed some baked lighting. Actually, let's go check these stairs out, because they look kind of weird to me. They have this weird darkening effect. Which, by the way, all these edits that I'm making, if you would like to make your own edits, you can actually go F3. And, well, actually, first, if you go into user settings, basically you go to editor mode. By default, you'll be in game mode, because you'll just be playing the preset and what I've set up in it. But I go to editor mode, and that's how you can hit F3 to bring up a specific menu like this, and you can zoom out with your free cam, which is pretty sick nasty. But yeah, this texture has some really weird, like, look at this darkening. Sometimes that's the baked lighting, but I'm fairly certain I remove that. So basically what you do is you hit game map object, and then we're going to make sure you're an object editor if you actually want to select something. And we do have the baked shadows disabled, and it still kind of looks, I mean, I guess that must be the texture itself, but ugh. But you can see here me disabling the baked shadows is a good way of, you can see some of the little, it almost looks like baked AO essentially, but there's certain ones that I've sort of cleared off. Oh, oh, okay. Let me go into the shadow map for this. Yes. Yeah, see, there's a decent number of them that I have not set to be two-sided, so it actually shadow casts off the whole thing. And so you see that's actually where I had a little mistake there. So we'll fix that really quickly. And this has disabled baked shadows. So basically I disabled the baked lighting on a per map piece basis to where it makes sense or is useful in any way, because there's certain ones where you really don't need to remove the baked lighting at all, but there's certainly some where you do. Now actually here's a good instance of this is actually so obvious that it's crazy that I missed it for so long, but if you look right up here, there is just some god-awful UV mapping. Like, this just looks terrible. Like, basically the texture is just not at all correctly set up. Ooh, I forgot a texture. Look at that. This happens decently often where apparently I just not picked up on something. So let's see. Oh, really? It's that texture? Really? All right. Interesting. So let's upscale that texture. This is basically what I do most days. Is like 10 to 12 hours of just, wow, that upscale went really well. The standard model does so well on like brick and stone and metal, and it really specifically is good for like stone. You can get some really good detail out of it without going too crazy. You don't want to overcook it, you know. Now you'll see the normal map that's actually here. If you ever see any sort of like orangish look, that's essentially means that it has a height map stored inside the normal map. They already had that set up. It just wasn't enabled. So just a fun... I was going to say that's a fun thing, but in no way is that a fun thing for anybody. Nobody would think that. Let's see. Oh yeah, actually you can see here there were baked shadows on the side. Which sometimes I end up keeping them, because quite honestly, if they're still in the same angle as the shadows that I have, but commonly I will remove them if I think they're actually like detracting from the image. Let's just disable them anyway, just to check here if that is frankly worthwhile. Yeah, you can see on the stairs it doesn't really do much. And that's the flip side, right? Is if like the baked shadows aren't noticeable when you turn them on or off, well that means even at a distance it's not going to matter, because it's not like anyone saw that anyway. But you can see this is a good instance of like removing it just cleans it up, and I'm just essentially relying on the actual shadows cast. And that comes into play, obviously, if I move the light source, the actual sun. And so that's obviously going to impact where the shadows are. So let's hit two-sided, just to make sure we actually have it set up correctly. Yeah, looks pretty good. Now, of course, the dynamic shadows are going to be governed by the shadow cascade system. So the farther you go away, the lower quality the shadows are. And that would be the reason for keeping baked shadows, is that obviously you can render those at a massive distance, because, well, you're not rendering them. You are, but you're simply just applying it to the texture itself, or the surface itself as a texture. So that's Heide's Tower of Flame. I notice I've only gone to like 3 areas. Let's do rapid fire. We're at 48 minutes. We'll probably make this an even hour of just... Y'all want to just nerd the fuck out? Yes. Yes. It started as a Shrine of Amana video, and it morphed into a gigantic video. No Man's Wharf, I tried to keep very close to the unmodded aesthetic, at least from... I was going to say from memory, but realistically I do end up actually looking up images when I am working on the areas, because I'm like, I want to make sure I'm not clinically insane and I'm making the area look so vastly different. One thing I was tweaking was the volumetric, just so you see a little bit of distance up there. Oh my god. Okay, well, no one saw that. No one saw the double panic rolling. No one saw that. Okay, I died. So that's No Man's Wharf. It's dark. The water looks great. And, yeah, looks cool, Good ambience. Let's go to this. I actually just did this last night. I overhauled my Huntsman's Copse, because I wasn't happy with it. It was a little too green, and I want to make sure that the areas look distinctly different than each other, because that's, I think, one of the biggest strengths of Dark Souls 2. And so here we have Huntsman's Copse. Now, I still have not been able to make it look 100% like the unmodded game in terms of the aesthetic, like the rocks here, and but I have brought out the distant detail. The skybox is fully present, and it was really hard to get the color combo, and then get like these really subtle volumetric light shafts. Oh, okay. I don't know about that. I don't know that you hit me there. Okay, let me heal up. What's up, big dog? Is that the first big dog of the episode? Oh my god. That's insane. So yeah, I definitely overhauled this area because I ended up falling into the trap of like, what if I made the green impact the whole area? And it just made the whole area look green, and it did look cool because it had light shafts. It was pretty cool, but like, it wasn't Huntsman's Copse, or like the one I remember. And so here, I think I have the sky a little bit too bright, maybe. Also, there is that weird black thing in the distance. I don't know why I'm just now noticing that. But what is that? What is that big thing up in the, oh god, okay, big guy. But this area I think was always really cool because you can kind of see that, but then it's actually quite dark when you're heading this way. Yeah, what is that in the distance? I think I goofed on the Skybox a little bit because sometimes there'll be like an image that they have of, hey, homie, Carl, relax. So if we go in here, I believe we can actually mess with, it might be, I tried doing, no, that's right. So this area, I did not get the volumetric light shafts working yet because it just, the fog in this area, it just did not want to work. Let's go down to the Skybox stuff. And usually you can play around with the settings. So that does nothing. Nothing. Oh yeah, you can see this toggles the actual, like, how much the Skybox is showing up. Well, I definitely want to max that out. And let's see. Oh, yeah, if we turn that off, that fixes the distant thing. Now, here's something else you can do. So if I like everything but that weird looking thing out there, which I'm not entirely sure what that is, it might be a distant map piece. But let's fly up there. Yeah, what the hell? Oh, it's like another... Oh. I think it's this map piece. And then here's another skybox. And I guess the mixture of the two skyboxes has definitely not worked terribly well. Let's open up the map editor here. No? Okay, we'll do scene entities. And I might be able to, I should be able to grab whatever this thing is. Well, that's that one. Ah, this one. Okay. Oh, so it's not this, and it's this bottom one? So the good thing you can do with these, you can actually do a scene entity override, and then you can actually block it. Oh, wow. So that doesn't work. Oh, interesting. Okay, I was hoping there was something behind it, and it was just extra. Turns out it is not extra. It is very much part of the scene. Okay, well, we will simply not have that scene entity override. And I will have to blend that in somehow. Which it's cloud 1. Nope, definitely not cloud 1. Yeah. See, the only problem with turning that down is I lose a lot of the skybox detail. Yeah, the blending between the two of those is... Ooh. So this is when that side looks right. But then this side looks like ass. Because then there's the bottom part and the top part. And if I make that look right, which is about there, then this looks awful. So I might need to do a secondary light and then move the light to then perfectly blend in that. Well, we're not going to get too lost in that. Too lost in the sauce. But yes, I will look at that. Let's run over to our bridge. Which I think is here. Oh, no. I think we need to go up here. Don't mind me not knowing where I'm going. Oh my god, we're almost at an hour. Insanity. I didn't think this was going to be this long. Basically, y'all are hanging out with me for an hour. And this is what I theoretically could be streaming, but I would be just so much less efficient. And I think that's why this format works for me a lot better. Because I can just sort of talk through it and get my thoughts down. Ooh, yeah, check out that mesh seam up there. Oh, shit. Now, the fun thing is that might actually just be a mesh seam, or no shot. No shot that I haven't upscaled that texture. That's insanity. There's no way. How did I miss? Okay, well, okay, let's just upscale this really quickly. This is most of my modding, is just going around going, damn, I missed that? No shot. So let's see. Turn down the denoising a bit. Do we get a good result? Do we turn down the de-blur a bit? We do. I think we do. Do we get a good increase in detail? Yes. Yes, it looks great. Shout out to Photo AI, not sponsored by Topaz Labs, but I have to admit that they're very good. Hey, I was getting hit by somebody. Oh my god, that jabroni? No shot. Dude, your arrows are insane. You're the quickest shot. Quickest shot in the West. Okay, so I think I upscaled it, right? Yes, I did process that. But you can see how it's decently quick to like notice, oh, that texture's not upscaled. Boom, let me dump that. Okay, let me upscale it. Let me, convert it back to DDS. Yeah, that does look a lot better. However, I believe we might have a tessellation problem. Yep. Once again, it was a tessellation problem on my end, as I basically had just made that tessellated, and then it created that giant seam. So, not great. But it does work a lot better on, like, these type of rocks, which have an interesting placement. But anyway, we can turn on tessellation, max distance, and then hit that. And we can make sure that the textures are upscaled, which they are. Yeah, I gotta fix that big block in the sky. God damn it. Okay. I'm gonna fix that and then upload the mod. So, totally different. Let's go warp in here. And then super quickly, just look at spots. Just look at things. I got like 2 minutes left. It's a big video. I've been gone for like a week, so y'all needed, you deserved a lot of FromSoft serve time. However much that is actually valuable or worth it. But look at these volumetric light shafts. It's beautiful. And then also look at the framing on this shot. Not that shot. This shot. Look at that. Look how they framed your target as you're walking into Harvest Valley. Like, come on. Also check out how, I think it's this rock. There's a decent number of these rocks that are actually floating. So I've applied tessellation on them. But basically you could see through them anyway. Now you can't see. Now I'm sharing the things that you can't unsee. Also, I want to show you this. Check out this skeleton animation. It's absolutely hilarious. Okay, make sure you're locked in. Okay, it's gonna happen quickly. Okay, this guy. Look at his animation. Like, are you kidding me? That's adorable. That is an absolutely adorable animation. It's so cute. I thought I could see through the world there for a second. Yeah, there's some like edge. Oh yeah, you can see how it cuts through on the left there. Whoops. Oh god. Alright, see you later. Actually, have I gone in here? See you later, nerd. If not. Fragrant Branch of Yore? Are you kidding me? What's up, Gavlan? Dude, I've been walking by this guy so often. Oh, shit in my fucking ass. What? Hey, Gavlan. Do you know that you're operating a shop in a very unsafe area? I hope you know that. Gavlan wheel, Gavlan deal. But I think Gavlan needs to worry about his safety. Like, if we can be real right now. Gavlan know you? Oh shit, I thought he was gonna say like just some wheel and fucking deal, but
Gavlan wheel, Gavlan deal.
Big dog, you couldn't be more correct.
What? With Gavlan.
Okay, yes, I agree that we wheel and deal. Oh, okay. Let's port out. Let's bone out. Let's bone out. I've now hit an hour. I'm hungry. I need more coffee. And I need to render this video. But really quickly, we're going to go to Iron Keep, because I think it looks sick nasty. And I've now run out of technical terms, so I'm just saying sick nasty. Just saying things now. This is definitely an area that I enabled the bloom boost feature in Lighting Engine, because obviously we're right next to lava, so it actually fit really well into the scene itself. We have our nice screen space light shafts. We have some removal of baked lighting. Not entirely. Let's go through here. Okay. So I think it looks... Oh my god. Okay. I know some people really hate this area, but I love it. I love it now. Okay, hey bitches. I'm trying to record a video. Okay, well if you want to come down and get the smoke, that's gonna... You should know I only have like 20% equip load because of this armor. So like, I'm going easy on you guys. I have a shield? Well, I guess I could parry him with my fucking hand. Or I just backstab the absolute shit. Oh my god. Okay, well, you know what? I don't know about that. Oh god, look at that power attack. Insane. He wasn't ready for the power attack. Ooh, leggings. Thank you. Well, I'll drink up. I'll drink up a little bit. But yeah. Come on. Look at this. Look at this. Look how the sun reflects off this metal surface. Like, are you kidding me right now? It's so cool looking. Pretty happy with it. It is aggressively red, but I'm okay with that. The only thing I don't like is how the... You notice how my character is very red? That's down to like the diffuse and specular ambient colors. I have still not found a good system, because it's also like related to the cube maps as well. I haven't found a good system for like how those look, like to not look goofy in some cases, so I'm still kind of working on that. Okay, well, shit. Okay. Does he die here? Probably. Oh, that was a pretty klutz dodge. I think we all have to admit that. Well, look, I mean, to be fair, I didn't want to face 3, you know. Okay, what if I bait out your attack? Okay. Well, no. Oh, whiffed on that one. Okay, this will probably be the end of the video, guys. I'm just getting absolutely raw dogged by these guys. Looks really cool, though, right? Oh my god, they were so nice to me. Well, okay. I didn't know one of y'all had fucking hops. 2 of them. Absolutely clutched up. And it's also because I'm like level 150, so don't worry about it. But anyway, looks cool. If you want to play the mod, you should download it. If you've made it to this part in the video, which arguably would have to be my most ardent supporters, you should sub to my Patreon. It's cool. That is how I'm able to do anything, realistically. YouTube ad revenue, not great. Just as a general thing. Yeah, Patreon's cool. And yeah, let's go subscribe if you want ad-free versions of the videos and whatnot. Yeah, see, I don't like how the redness on the character here. I don't think it looks good because it's like it's basically reacting to there being lava down there, which is great, but I just don't think it looks good when you're blocked by like the ground here. So I will be looking into that. I think I can just change which cube map it uses, which is what I did in Dark Souls 1, and then that mostly fixes it, because I just don't want it to look like this. I don't think this looks very realistic when the actual environment, because I would assume that's just because the environment is not getting the cube map, at least in this case, because like I'm getting it, and then you'll see the illumination here, but on this floor surface. Or I just add bounce lighting. That's true. I could just do a bounce from the lava onto here, like if I were to just zoom out, and then yeah, because basically the redness here totally stops. Essentially, this is where the global illumination would be like, hey, we should bounce red light right on here. But of course, we can do that manually. Not as, you know, not saying that's like ideal, but you certainly can do your own bounce lighting. And at least you'll know that the bounce lighting is done by me in most cases. And so it's going to be, it's artist led, and therefore could be inaccurate. So generally, try to pick a color that is similar. I don't want to go too red, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll play around with it. And then if we toggle it off versus on, yeah, essentially it needs to be bouncing. You can see, yeah, on the top part here, that where it has that harsh cutoff, when you basically move the intensity of this up, you just see how that much more naturally has the light from the actual area. Once again, wish I had a duplicate light option. Gonna be real with you. Gonna be real with you, and it would be nice. But I do not have that option, so I'm just gonna, you know, just gonna play around. Kind of play around, up the range, and then I try to see where the other bounce one was. And so this is definitely an instance where like it is quicker in Lighting Engine to place point lights, but also slower in some ways. Especially when it comes to duplicating. Definitely was better able to duplicate in Map Studio. But so it's kind of, I think it's what my mom always says of like six, half a dozen of another, something like that, some weird saying. I live in the Midwest, so like that's just, you have to understand that's just gonna happen. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a little twitchy, but the ability to see everything done in real time is just a game changer. That one is hard to overstate just how amazing that is. It's so helpful. Yeah, so basically we're just gonna balance out a lot of the light up there. So I'm not gonna do all of that. So now I've gone overtime. But that's essentially what I'm doing in Dark Souls 2 a lot, is I'm just going to be doing bounce lighting and shadow casting and textures and things I miss. And also, I think I'm low health. Yeah, my guy, you can see how he's like really sad. Oh shit, that guy almost killed me. Yeah, so thank you for watching. And I will see you on the next video, which might be Dark Souls 1, actually. I do have some news on Dark Souls 1, and something in the works that I commissioned from somebody that could be really cool with Dark Souls 1. So stay tuned. And yeah, I'll see you on the next video.